Why do we need to pray even if we don't believe in God? Number one, we don't have to believe for prayer to be effective. Number two, prayer is just thought and intention, and even if you don't believe in anything, you're still doing it every day. Number three, it's actually proven to be connected to a better quality of life and better health. That's like research science. Number four, prayer is actually growing as a global trend, and it's probably because there's something about it that actually works. And number five, you don't have to talk to any God or any idea of some deity or anything for it to be effective. You just need to connect with your own subconscious and it'll all get done anyway. So first let me tell you why I know this. I had totally rejected my full-on Christian upbringing by the time, I was an adult living on my own. There were a whole lot of things about sort of Christianity that just put me right off. And what I did learn, though, like a lot of you, is that you just reject the whole thing. So it's kind of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, really. And so then I went into hardcore advertising, super, I'm driven, I'm having the world the way that I want it, I've got this lifetime, that's it, and we got to get stuff done. So that too is not quite right, and it all just sort of collapsed and fell apart. Then a really wild thing happened. So I had purple flames turn up all over my body, and I honestly thought I was mentally ill. I went through all the process of going to hospital. I took myself to a psychiatrist who in the end deemed it to be paranormal phenomena. And I'm like, what? Is such a thing? So as a big skeptic, I wasn't really into this sort of thing. It was all a little bit woo-woo, to be honest. And the whole, pomp and ceremony and tradition of religion, I really rejected it all. But I think what's happened also is there's a whole lot of new age practices that are actually not quite right either and hurting a lot of people too. And traditional prayer and traditional ways of doing things in sort of church environments and, people, when I was growing up, I was taught how to do prayer, and it was pretty much begging, pleading, and wishing for something other than what you've got. It was also full of rote words, like dull. And you had no, intention. It wasn't a two-way conversation. It wasn't positive. And I can tell now, after all these strange things happening and all the big questions of the universe and all the science that I've looked into and research and everything, I honestly can tell we're doing prayer all wrong. And that's the people who do it. And then all those atheists and people who rejected it all, we're disconnecting from a consciousness technology. So that's the opportunity now, is to forget about belief and just focus on being open-minded and to look at a new technology of consciousness to create better health in your life, just to, get more flow, get some direction, learn how to get the best out of your own body, even longevity as well. And even myself, I was actually unwell, had a super mystery disease, or it wasn't a disease, we just didn't even know what it was. Turns out it was some sort of food toxin that was impacting my brain. I was actually classified as having a disability, and I fixed it now. And well, I didn't. I, tapped into the stream of consciousness, and then that recoded it, kind of fixed it. And also I was diagnosed with early stage cancer. I was supposed to have surgery, and I said, can you just give me 6 weeks and I'll serve my friends, and the whole spiritual technology can make it work. And yep, it did. It got out of the whole surgery. So it isn't any belief. And I didn't think I was talking to a God, some beady man in a throne up there. You don't need that. And it's like gravity. So we don't have to believe in gravity for it to work, right? And gravity doesn't have a big capital G, It's not like a name and a being that's, imposing on us. So the whole God thing is multiple complexities to that, but the top of absolutely everything. I've been there, and it's the most intelligent, loving, unconditionally loving consciousness, like the intelligence of everything. Amazing. And that is what we can tap into. And even if we just get our subconscious mind to get into a heart space, we're automatically kind of tuning in. So you don't even have to think beyond, I'm in charge of my own body in this lifetime, and I just need to tap into my own self and, get some direction and, make my life flow a bit and feel more well. So there's a whole bunch of things around that, though. And let's think about, what is religion anyway, hey? So religion pretty much is a belief system. And it's, if you think of data in the world of, big corporate technology and whatever, there's a single source of truth. So no matter what happens, there's always the original source code that sits somewhere. And, there can be aliases, there can be other versions of it that's a mirror. You can, duplicate it and access it in other places. You can create software. So I would say, if I'm looking at religion now with that lens on it, I would say it's a software program that somebody has created with a certain lens over it. But likewise, I would say atheism is a software of the same code, and you're just seeing it with a different lens. And science is another kind of software program, and you're seeing it from that perspective. And within that, every single individual has their own sort of app that runs off that software, that runs off that source code. So it's pretty much all like a interpretation. So if you could just drop all of those expectations and interpretations and just be open to what actually our reality is, then seems like magic. But yeah, there's a whole lot of things that you can open yourself up to. Opportunities flow, you can become well. I mean, I secretly even have been going, can you just fix my cells in my body and make me, younger every day? And it's just about being well and being the best version of myself. And I honestly feel like, I'm 60, just turned 60, and I went and had a test done, one of those machines you put on that tells you your biology. And I was told I was 42 years old. And even my lover at the time, who was actually 46, his was 50-something. So I'm doing something right here, and it's just using consciousness technology. So I'm challenging you, as an atheist, just give it a try. And I feel like we need to reinvent what prayer is now, because there's a lot of things that say it's working, and I know for myself, it's regenerating. So how do you do it? That's a big question. So for people who are really not into it and haven't, been open to anything spiritual because you think that there's nothing beyond this lifetime or whatever, I would say that there's enough science and really robust studies, even if certain bodies don't, put a stamp on it because they didn't, get the money for someone to supervise it. There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have had experiences that prove that there's something beyond. And there's technology, people like me who didn't look for it, but we've accidentally become a medium, and the accuracy is very undeniable. So I can, find, mercury in somebody's body that they had no expectation about it, and then actually find out that, there was a photographic business there dripping mercury into the soil 30 years ago. You can't make that up. So there's a whole lot of things that I could go on about that are proving to me that this is a technology that's actually authentic and real. And there's even, I'm at a point where I can remote view from something that's happening in other parts of the world and see what's going on. I can look into the past. I can also see what's sort of lined up in the future, but that's another story. So today, if you're just starting out and you're going, well, how can I be open to any kind of spiritual consideration of prayer? I would say just start with contemplation. So just sit quietly and in the silence, just listen to your own inner self guide. Ask yourself questions, and I would generally say that before you have a chance to actually create a thought, there's a thought. That thought that comes through so fast that you haven't even asked yourself the question, that is generally of your higher self or your subconscious, like answering well before. And I've learned in the land of spiritual communication and consciousness technology, it's instant. Like, it's faster than the speed of light, and it's like the instant. And there are like mathematicians and scientists right now that are working on moving our physical self through to another whole galaxy in less than 15 minutes, because they're working out that this sort of technology of the big stream is actually like so instant. So if you are still kind of flipping out about all the science, I can't like talk about it all here, but if you're really nerdy like I am, go to my website, link in the bio as it is. I've got a whole lot of stuff called Nerdy Stuff, and so that to me has been a lot of the science and research and things that I've been looking at to even just validate for myself what was going on. So definitely get educated and stop the, this is who I am, there's nothing past this reality, and, there's no such thing as a God, and, spirituality is all like wanker shit, That's actually a belief system just as dangerous to you as religion. So be open, look at some science for yourself and start to see what's possible and explore things for yourself. Like, I didn't want to believe a single human because of being brought up in a religious family. And, there's a lot of people in Christian environments that don't actually act very loving. So there's wars, there's abuse, even in families there's judgment and you're going to hell, and, I don't want you to be that kind of person, I want you to be a different sort of person, and all those things that a lot of Christians are doing a lot of harm. And even the way they do prayer is actually harming people too. But likewise, a lot of people who are atheists, who don't believe in anything, and they're limiting themselves, their thoughts are going on in their head all day as well. So even the tiniest negative thought actually gets created into the quantum field. And there's a little substance called the trefoil knot that is in everything. So some would call it the gob particle, if they want to call it that. But it's the smallest particle in all of existence that unifies everything. So all of us are made of trefoil knots, whether you're a solid table or you're just a tiny thought, you're all on a spectrum of density. So we are actually all one. And there's enough science and maths about it. So this is not any belief system, don't you worry. So time to let go of those old ideas and start to be open to consciousness technology. So the first step, that contemplation. The next, I would say, is just get in your heart more and be in your heart and appreciate everything around you. Be more compassionate and open. Once this is the sort of base level, but at the highest level, your heart is actually a system that activates all of the consciousness technology. And there's a lot of people in sort of neuroscience or whatever who say that, there's certain parts of your brain, like your pineal gland, that, is activating and almost like being the centre of communication for these things, like they're generating your consciousness. I think there's enough science now telling us that's not quite right, but I would say that the cave of Brahma, which is including the pineal gland, is like a television set. So the television set in our house doesn't make the program by itself. It's actually picking up a program that's outside the house, and it just transmits, and we just flick the station. So our brain function and even the physical body that we're sitting in is similar to a TV set. It's not the TV station. So if that is a different way of looking at things, then, you know, if you activate your heart, that's the center of sort of aligning everything and getting you in spiritually activated, if you can cope with that word. Then once you're activated, you just need to listen to your gut. Like, people say that all the time, but I would warn you though, because your gut, that instinctive kind of thing, is also the home of unconscious bias and like ingrained patterns as well. So you have to be really keep discerning and look at everything and go, where's that come from? Is that coming from true, like, unconditional love and acceptance, or is that coming from ingrained beliefs and ideas? So just ask yourself that every day. The other thing you can do is like get into cleaning your bodily system and all the sort of unseen parts of yourself as a you know, a complex being. Let's just say there's a whole lot of parts of you we don't understand, like even DNA. You know, scientists call it junk DNA. Like, how ignorant is that when there's, you know, like, they only know, you know, certain fraction of it, and there's this all the other stuff that we don't understand, so they have to disregard it, when that is like so ignorant. So I know for myself, when I've dived in and I ask, show me the, you know, what's at the top of everything in our universe, and are there angels, and what's the where does consciousness live, and, you know, what does our DNA do? And I've seen my DNA get kind of corrected, and what else is in there. So I'm telling you, the DNA is like mega more important than we're seeing, and it's like a memory device. You can also ask your higher self, can you please send me the skills I need for this meeting this week? And you can get like sort of upgrades happening in your subconscious mind. So you don't even have to know or even care where they're coming from, but just ask. We're in a consent universe. So unless you ask for it, you won't get it. So ignorance and closing off and no, there's no such thing as a God, so I'm not going to ask anybody or ask myself, no, because I don't believe in it. Well, I'm telling you, if you don't ask, you won't get it. So, well, it could hurt. Just, what would happen? Okay, I'll ask and I'll see what happens. It's like, I was doing a martial art a while back, and I thought, I wonder if I could, oh, shit at it, actually. And I was going, I wonder if I could get the skills for this, like, as a download. Anyway, I went, and I was like remote viewed, and I saw the town where it all came from, and I saw the whole thing, and I was given the impression, oh yeah, you're having an upgrade. I went, okay, I don't feel any different. But then over the last sort of month after that, every time I went, people were going in the class, wow, you're really getting, you know, good at this all of a sudden. I'm like, really? So I think it could be, you know, just little things like that will be your feedback. And I would also say, even if you just got into a really basic thing like a meditation that just manages your energy, or breath work, I feel like they're good for cleaning the machine that you live in, but they are not a real tool for proper two-way conversation with spirit. So I'm not even going to go there with you yet. I'm just saying, as a, you know, do atheists need to pray? Yes, but let's not go, you know, too hardcore. So just try those few really, you know, simple things to get started, and then see for yourself, you know, what happens. So because I've learned, you know, like everything is united, and even, you know, me here, you there, the table in front of us, things we eat, things we drink, they're all just this trefoil knot in different densities. So we are all connected, and that means then you could say, from what I've been shown, the physical body, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the higher self, some might call a soul, your collective consciousness, small collections, big collections, the mass consciousness, and then the unity consciousness of all, we're all on a spectrum. And if you just dial in to your own little bit down at the end and activate your heart, automatically all those good things will come. Be careful, I would just say. Also, walking around all of us all day are things that we don't really want to look at either. So always be imagining, even if it's just a technology of the electric universe we're in, and you don't believe, it's a person or any kind of like deity or anything, but just know there's light and dark. So just with anything you do, just always imagine like your machine, your body and your mind are being associated with good, clean light, and then you'll be fine. So just thinking about this whole thing of being an atheist and, I'm only here in this lifetime, and when I die, I'm going into the soil, and, that's all there is. So I would say in my studies of, is there a life after here and all those sort of consciousness technologies, I would say there's enough people with experiences from near-death experiences who actually, through their own thoughts, create an experience when they cross over as an eternal soul. What a lot of people who believe that they're going in the soil, I'm sorry, but you end up in the soil. And so I've seen and heard people talking about when they died, they went into this total blackness. There was like particles, just big sort of like lumps of black all around them, which is basically just if they were a small like consciousness within the soil, and damp, and it smelt like, horrible dank soil and all that. That feels a bit like hell, but that's not really what's on the other side. That's your expectation comes alive as a transition point to often help people who cross. So it isn't ideal, I would say, to be thinking that you're just going to end up in the soil, because that would be a really shitty way to cross. So if you were to go, now that you can't refute the science now, the consciousness lives beyond the body, there's no way any sensible person could ever say that's not true. I think anyway, maybe I'm being judgmental there, but I've done the work now to see for myself, and I can also experience things in all different realms and whatever to know for myself too. So I would say, even if you just want to look at material science and all of those, research and whatever, I'd say, yeah, there's that. And the whole idea of ending in the soil doesn't sound good. I would say, why don't you imagine it's like a pool party at, some awesome resort with like cocktails and, some hot person next to you. That sounds like a pretty good afterlife, I think. So it's up to you. We're in a world of free will, right? So I'm just warning you and going, once you are able to use consciousness technology, you will actually be able to see for yourself, and you will have a more robust experience. Someone once said to me, if you saw an alien out that window, that would be your belief system. You believe it, so therefore, or you saw it, then it's come from your belief system. But I got to tell you, that's kind of an ignorant way of looking at it, because if I see an alien out my window, but so did another person, does that make it real? If another 100 people saw it, now are we talking it's real? If 5,000 people saw it, is it now irrefutable? So as a accidental medium, I'm learning there are millions of people like me. And something like, I read a study that said something like 70% of people, or some big number, I'm not being accurate here, I don't know, I'm usually really anal about that, but a big number of people have psychic experiences, but they don't tell anyone. So there's all this sort of stigma about it, and I think we're at a point now where we've got to let go of ideas that are not serving us anymore, but yet we all have free will, so do what you wish. And, I'm not really here to fight with anybody about it. I'm just saying what I've learned. And, yeah, do it or don't do it and see for yourself. All I would say is you don't have to believe. You just have to not doubt and be open. And I think be skeptical and try things for yourself and get answers for yourself. That's how I was. And, yeah, I felt like more comes to you, and more evidence, and more experiences just from doing your own inquiry. So free will reigns. Go enjoy.